Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to Shloka a Day. Today's Shloka is Shloka number 12 of chapter 8. Sarvadvarani sanyamya
Sarvadvarani sanyamya
manohridi niruddhya cha
Manohridi niruddhya cha
murdhnya dhayatmanah pranam
Murdhya dhayatmanah pranam
asthito yoga dharanam.
Asthito yoga dharana.
Word for word meaning and translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Sarvadvarani,
Sarvadvarani,
all the doors of the body.
all the doors of the body.
Samyama,
Samyama,
samyamya,
samyamya,
controlling.
controlling.
Manaha, the mind.
The mind.
Hridi,
Hridi,
in the heart.
in the heart.
Niruddhya,
Niruddhya,
confining.
confining.
Cha,
also.
Murdhni,
Murdhni,
on the head.
on the head.
Adhaya,
Adhaya,
fixing. Atmanaha,
Atmanah,
of the soul.
of the soul.
Pranam,
Pranam,
the life air.
the life air.
Asthitaha,
Asthitah,
situated in.
situated in.
Yoga dharanam,
Yoga dharanam,
the yogic situation.
the yogic situation.
Translation: the yogic situation
The yogic situation
is that of detachment
is that of detachment
from all sensual engagements,
from all sensual engagements,
closing all the doors of the senses,
closing all the doors of the senses,
and fixing the mind on the heart,
and fixing the mind on the heart,
and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga.
One establishes himself in yoga.
Yeah. So the Lord is continuing to speak about how one practices this Ashtanga yoga mixed with bhakti, and how one raises one's life air, now from the middle of the eyebrow to the top of the head, and then one establishes themselves in yoga. So essentially, what is the Lord saying? That we need to completely lock the external world out to begin this process. So if we begin with pratyahara, or withdrawing the senses from the sense objects, typically what happens is that if the sense objects continue to impact our senses, then the world tends to enter our mind through the gates of the senses. And when the world begins to enter our mind, it leaves behind impressions. When impressions are left on your mind, it leads to contemplation. The mind begins to think about these things, and ultimately the mind gets attached to the external world, things that are external. So the sense organs for acquiring knowledge, Srila Prabhupada says, are the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and touch. And all five of these should be fully controlled and should not be allowed to engage in self-gratification. So the Lord says, Sarva Dwarani Sanyamya. He's saying, guard the gates of the body. Mano Hridi Niruddhyacha. The Lord is saying, lock the mind and the heart. Here, the heart is not the physical heart. The heart the Lord is referring to is the Atma Tattva, which is focusing on yourself, the Atma. Like this, you direct the mind towards Aksharam, also the imperishable Supreme Lord. After that, the Lord says, Yoga Dharanam. So after Pratyahara, there is Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. The progressive stages for us to move forward in the Ashtanga Yoga process. And in this way, one becomes situated in yoga. So just to remind us what the 8 steps of yoga are. from the 6th chapter. Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So Yam is typically all of the ethical principles like truthfulness, non-violence, abstention from stealing. Niyam is all about self-discipline. Begins with cleanliness, austerity, reflection, worship, etc. Asana has to do with the postures. Pranayam has to do with breath control. Pratyahara has to do with withdrawal of the senses. Dharana, the Lord is talking about concentration. Dhyana, meditation, and then complete absorption, samadhi. In this way, the mind focuses on the super soul in the heart, the soul and the super soul. And the life force is raised to the top of the head, the Lord says. And what do you do once the energy is raised to the top of your head? You then meditate on him and become in oneness with Brahman. As mentioned before, Prabhupada says, this practice is not practical in this age. Prabhupada writes in the purport, if one is always able to fix his mind on Krishna in devotional service, it is very easy for him to remain in an undisturbed transcendental trance or in samadhi. So if you practice Ashtanga Yoga, the process is very, very rigorous to get to the point of samadhi. But when you're practicing bhakti, you are always in samadhi because you're always thinking of Krishna. Everything that you do, you're doing for Krishna. Therefore, Prabhupada says the best process is Krishna consciousness. If you can always think of Krishna, you're in samadhi. You don't have to go through the difficult process of Ashtanga Yoga. Of course, one can practice it for health reasons, but definitely it is difficult to practice it for the purposes of self-realization or Paramatma realization in Kali Yuga. The easier way to do this, to be always in a trance, in a transcendental trance, is to actually practice Krishna consciousness.
If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification. If you'd like to join our classes every day, please check the details in the description section of this video. We look forward to serving you.